You ever notice how every new game seems to run worse than the last one, even when you just spent thousands on a new GPU? You turn on a next-gen title, set everything to ultra, and suddenly you're at maybe 40 FPS. And then you think, wait, wasn't this supposed to be next-gen? Let's take a look at why video games are getting worse, not in creativity or visuals, but in optimization, and why even the most expensive hardware can't save you anymore. So here's the paradox. Game engines have never been more advanced, all promising photorealistic worlds at scale. But despite that progress, performance has never really been worse. These engines make gorgeous worlds faster than ever, but they also make very inefficient ones. Because when visuals come first and optimization comes last, you end up with games that look next-gen and run like a slideshow. Let's talk about Unreal Engine 5, the more popular engine for this problem. It brought us Nanite, which lets artists import film quality models straight into the game, and Lumen, which is real-time lighting that looks incredible, supposedly. But here's the problem. Those features come at a massive cost. Every tiny detail, every light bounce is now being calculated in real time. That's a lot of calculations every second. So yeah, Unreal Engine 5 games look gorgeous, but even a $2,000 graphics card can brute force them. Titles like Lords of the Fallen look next-gen, but without DLSS or FSR upscaling, they are barely playable at native resolution. Unreal Engine 5 gives you visual magic, but it hides a performance nightmare. Problem is that visual fidelity is not the only thing to care about. I mean, sure, they look nice, but somehow they feel kind of soulless. Too much reality is also not good. That's why it's called a game. So why aren't games being optimized anymore? It's not that devs don't care, it's the system they're working under. Games take longer to make, but release schedules haven't changed, probably. Optimization is usually the final stage of production, and when the clock runs out, it's probably the first thing that gets cut. That's why Day 1 patch became a meme. It's not a fix, it became a business model. Modern game engines handle everything for you automatically, but that also means that developers lose fine-grained control. So when something runs slow, it's often too deep in the engine to quickly fix. Most studios build for consoles first, and those consoles are basically mid-range PCs. When the game gets ported to PC, it's not really rebuilt, it's just upscaled. Photogrammetry and 8K textures are everywhere now, but high-fidelity assets eat up memory bandwidth like crazy, so even top-end SSDs and GPUs struggle to stream them efficiently. And finally, studios know they can fix things later. Cyberpunk 2077 launched pretty much broken, as you remember, but 2 years later and it runs pretty much okay. That's the trade-off. Release now and optimize later. By the time performance improves though, most players have already moved on. Even the best GPU in the world can't fix a poorly optimized game, because performance isn't just about raw power, it's about balance. If your CPU can't feed data fast enough, your GPU just sits there doing nothing. The problem isn't your graphics card, it's the engine pipeline itself. So let's run through a few real-world examples. Starfield, which is built on Bethesda's aging engine. A beautiful world, but is brutally bound on the CPU. Forspoken. Stunning effects, but wildly inconsistent GPU usage. Immortals of Avian. Unreal Engine 5 showcased that can't hit stable 60 FPS on high-end rigs. And The Last of Us Part 1, which is gorgeous but plagued by shader stutters at launch. Each of these games uses modern technology, but they're all victims of poor optimization. So here's the truth. Using the latest engine doesn't mean your game will run well. Engines like Unreal Engine or Unity give developers freedom, but not efficiency. It's like being handled a Formula 1 car without a pit crew. You can go fast or crash spectacularly. Some studios master the tech, like ID Software with ID Tech 7, where Doom Eternal runs at 200 FPS on mid-range hardware. Others barely understand the systems they're using, so you get games that look incredible but melt your GPU trying to render them. Yeah, so games today are bigger, prettier, and more ambitious than ever, but they're also heavier, buggier, and way less optimized. The new game engines give developers insane creative power, but that power comes at a cost. Until studios start treating optimization just as important as graphics, we'll keep seeing the same pattern. Hardware gets stronger, games get slower, and we'll keep asking the same question: why does my $2,000 GPU still stutter? Thank you guys for watching. Like if you enjoy, and tell me in the comments which recent game had the worst optimization for you. See you in the next one, and remember, don't buy it if it runs like shit.